Welcome to the Omnia channel. Today I've got a very special guest, James House, all the way from Australia. I think I pronounced that right, did I not?
Perfect.
Yeah, all the way from Australia, and he lives in a beautiful farm, which you can see a picture of in the background there. Looks wonderful, that sunset. James is going to come on and talk about biogeometry testing because he's managed to do a little bit of testing on the Omnia products. And I'd love him to share that a bit later on. But James, thanks for coming on. Welcome to the show. And wonder if you could just give us a bit of background about how you discovered Omnia and you know how you're getting on with it.
Yeah, well, thanks first of all for having me. It's sort of out of the blue, and yeah, I really appreciate talking to new people doing cool stuff. Where did I find it? It was probably on YouTube.
I hate that question too, by the way.
Yeah.
It's just like right up there with like, did you get my email tonight? No idea.
Yes, which email was it? Yeah, I think I found you on YouTube. So the YouTube algorithm was obviously in your favor. And yeah, I think I played with it for like the idea for a while. I was looking for something because I knew how bad phones were for you. And I love my phone. So it was not really an option of like, limit your exposure to what a half an hour a day or or get rid of it.
Yeah.
That was never going to be
it's almost impossible, isn't it, these days?
It is almost impossible.
Limit yourself.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
People want to call you, and for my work I need it like just to be contactable. So it's always in my pocket, and for men that's not a great spot, if it's doing a damage.
Correct. Yeah, no, there's many studies that show that it damages sperm. It's one of the easiest tests to do, actually, on the testes, because you can measure the mobility, the motility, and its speed and everything. You can you can basically just say, right, here's the exposed one, here's the control, and when you do it with the control, it's fine. And then as soon as you expose it, then it loses the sperm loses its sense of direction, its ability to move, and the number, the actual number decreases as well. So all of that is bad news. So it's
no
just
wonder
amazing that only very few people know about these types of
and I think there's like a bit of an epidemic of infertility problems, and people probably aren't looking at that. I've also heard that
and scientists are scratching their heads.
Idea.
Have no idea why this is happening.
No idea. Completely bamboozled. And I've also heard that people, if they put it in their right pocket, their bone density in that leg is lower, which is interesting too.
Oh, so, I'd like to hear more about that. Forward that study to me.
I'll try and find it. It's one of those things I heard a long time ago, but it makes sense.
But
I'll try and.
It's hard to actually put it anywhere, because if you put it in your back pocket, it can go into your gut through the hole at the back of your back pocket. So through your anus. It can actually, that there's lots of studies showing that all that energy goes into the gut and so on. So it's almost impossible to not contact these radiation fields.
And let alone if you're living in the city. I was renting for a while over in the East Coast, and it's very hard to find a rental house that's not within say 500 meters of a mobile phone tower, a big one, especially in big cities. And that might just be my experience, but everywhere I looked, it's like, oh, there's one. And now with 5G, and
it's going to get worse, isn't it? Because 5G doesn't travel as far, so they have to put more masts up, and never mind what that's doing to the environment and our bodies and everything else. But as the frequencies go faster, then it's like the boiling frog situation. We're going to start reacting. But yeah, it is pretty crazy, the situation at the moment, because the lack of, the negligence, I should say, of everyone concerned, whether it's governments, public health bodies. I shouldn't say the telco industry, because obviously we're not trying to upset them, because they could throw books at us and everything else. But ultimately, yeah, it's like that there is huge swathes of ignorance going on, and even if you try and alert people of something, they will shut it down because it's a scary message. But anyway, I'm glad that you were aware of it, and maybe you could tell us a bit more about, like how it's affected you. I mean, have you felt any difference since using the products?
Yeah, I definitely have. I would say I'm probably a fairly sensitive person, so I do sort of feel better or worse depending on what sort of fields I'm in. So since I've had it, I don't even think about it at all. Yeah, like I'm happy to have it, and I feel clearer, like mentally clearer. What else? Yeah, it's
Great. Well,
sort
I
of hard
mean,
to
we've actually
quantify,
brought
isn't
out,
it? In like your
exactly. It's like a
own
vibration.
experience.
It's just a calmness rather than an agitation or a stress or whatever. And it's difficult to describe that sometimes.
Exactly.
We've actually got a new product coming out, which is so hard to actually get anyone excited by because it's absolutely tiny. But you can see sort of on here, you can see tiny little stickers, and they go on the inside of your glasses and also on your headphones, right? So they're really small. So I don't know what I'm going to call it, maybe the Orb Micro or something. But they're going to go in small places. It's really good to have these around your brain waves, because your brain waves are invisible electrical fields. We know that alpha, beta, gamma, whatever the electrical fields are in your brain, they get scrambled by EMF as well. So it's good to have this stuff. I mean, I've always got my pendant on, although I've just been for a shower, so I haven't got it on now, but I've got one here. But you can wear a pendant which goes close to your heart, and then that keeps your body's electrical energy field in balance. But if you wear them close to your brain waves, then we've worked out through autonomic response testing, which is a modality invented by Professor Klinghardt or Dr.
I'm a huge fan.
Yeah. So what we found was when we held a phone or an orb patch near to the brain, near to the temple, the body went into this healing mode, right? Which we didn't know before then. And it went into this because they can test all the O-rings, and they test the strength of each O-ring and they try and pull them apart, right? And the body went so strong when the orb fields were next to the brain waves, and we figured out that there must be something in the Deca energy that really tunes into the brain waves and helps. So having these little micro orbs next to your temple is a good thing, or even in your earphones is a good thing. I'll send you a couple. For being nice and sharing your biogeometry experience with me.
Yeah, they sound really interesting.
Yeah, well, seeing as you've got your earphones on now, we can I'll send you some out. So tell me a little bit more about biogeometry, because that's what I want to get into. First of all, what is it? What's it used for? What is it?
So biogeometry, it's a form of vibrational testing. It's sort of been discovered and lost throughout history quite a few times.
Right.
So the recent discovery.
How far does it go back? Someone said
at least Egypt, probably.
Egypt. Yeah, that's what I was.
Yeah. Yeah. So the inventor or the rediscoverer, because it's always hard with these things, often rediscovered, of biogeometry is Cairo-born guy called Ibrahim Karim, Dr. Ibrahim Karim.
Yeah.
And so he's developed biogeometry, which is a system of vibrational testing. So there are others. It's sort of a spectrum of testing. There are other. The actual proper term is physical radiesthesia, which is radiesthesia is about invisible fields. That's if you look at the word, and the physical is it's an actual some of your viewers might be familiar with mental dowsing. It's completely different. There is like a string and a pendulum involved, but it's so mental dowsing is you have a like an automatic response, and you think of a question like, should I eat, Wheat Bix for breakfast? And a bit like muscle testing, you'll get a response like that, a yes. It'll be like a circle or no circle.
Yep.
So that's testing like almost your subconscious
Right.
will react to that. Bit
Right.
fraught with danger. So yeah, it looks similar, but it's like completely different.
Right.
Biogeometry is it's really based on like a very, very fundamental principle of like wavelength. So we've all heard that like, everything's energy. So everything has a wavelength, has a frequency.
Yep.
So the basic premise is through resonance, if you find the string length that corresponds to you, Tim, or me, or a plant, or a rock, if you find that like particular point on a string, you will become into my words, you'll resonate sympathetically with that object.
Okay.
So then you can do really cool things like is it strengthening or weakening? If you find a point, which is what we call personal wavelengths, whatever, right, in the thing, and you'll get if it's really strengthening, you'll get a really big swing in a clockwise, and if it's neutral, like you'll get sort of a back and forwards, and if it's very detrimental, which
do you
a lot
hold
of things,
a pendulum above a kind of a set of, is it a piece of paper that has sort of markings on it or something like that?
No. So you really tune in with your awareness.
Okay.
So I can just give you a short little demonstration
Yeah,
of like
it,
what it is. You just use the back of your hand, like that's. So I'll just test for me what's beneficial or detrimental for me. So just back of my hand. There's sort of a special technique of tuning in and get to a point. Now that point, that's sort of my, that's me on a string. Like that'll be my fundamental frequency. And then I'll just, tune into, I'll just tune into something detrimental. This is just a little gadget that I have that is electronic, and that's not good. I can feel that because I've been practicing for sort of 2 years. I can
so it's a system
also feel that in my body.
Designed to allow you to tune into your own energy through the spin of the pendulum, right?
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
So once
and you can tune into anything.
Right.
You can tune into anything.
So you could be picking up an apple in the supermarket, and you could use that to see, is this apple good for me or whatever? Yeah.
Okay. Exactly. Good, bad, and depending how fast some things that you get, like a particular supplement, it might go crazy. It might incredibly good. Like you'll have trouble holding on to it. A lot of people, when they start, they're like, doesn't do anything, but you sort of need to let the energy flow through you. It's not. The pendulum's really sort of part of you, and after a while, you train to let it flow
we
through
have
the
this
pendulum. So
allowing, the word allowing, or the notion of allowing is so big for Omnia, right? It's like I have a lot of customers who sort of come back and say, I tried this, but nothing happened. And then I say, yeah, but you've got to allow it. And they go, oh, you're just trying to get me into a placebo effect or something like that. And I said, no, you've really, it's a bit like if I said to you, you've got to eat broccoli to get better, right? You've got to have more greens in your diet to get more alkaline and better, and get fitter and whatever. Unless you allow yourself to enjoy that, then it won't work. It's a major part of our kind of our existence, our experience.
and if you're not allowing you're actually stopping it.
Resisting.
You're resisting. You're actually putting effort into stopping it. So very important.
You have control. We're either blocking or allowing, contracting or expanding. And the contraction and expansion thing is very important to Omnia as well, because we know through our physics that the atom compresses itself into matter and then discharges itself, and then just literally flicks on and off like that rapidly. Anyway, so tell us what results you got by using biogeometry with the Omnia products?
Yeah, so I've just got it on my phone, and I've got it on some just some other little wireless devices, but mainly I've tested my phone, like playing videos, phone calls, just when it's on but it's not doing anything. All very strengthening. Yeah, I've got very strengthening. I've never had any detrimental tests.
Right.
There's also so I studied biogeometry under the daughter of Ibrahim Karim. So I've gone the fundamental and the advanced. So there's other tools that get a lot more technical, going into like specific qualities of energy, sort of like 12 basic qualities of energy. And there's sort of half of them, you could say, well, it's sort of 24, but say half of them are detrimental, and there's one that's extremely detrimental that pretty much all the modern technology has. Anything with electricity basically has it.
Right.
So I tested the phone for that, and normally it would be, you know, off the charts high in this detrimental energy quality. It is like if you test the wall, you know, the 240 volts or 110 volt plug socket, it'll be very high. But with this, with the patch on it, the Omnia patch, like don't get anything
at all.
Yeah,
nothing detrimental.
It's completely transmuted that energy quality.
Wow.
So that was very interesting. That was a thing for me. That was a big confirmation. Yeah, and I've tested it heaps of times. So.
Yeah. And you were saying that you can actually use biogeometry to restore balance to your body, except, you know, you have to do it all the time. Is that right?
Yeah, it's a very, very diverse system. Very, you can do a lot of things. I've had other sort of shapes on my phone, but or patches, but they lose their power like over the course of a day, basically. So you gotta like recharge them or clear them. So it's, you know, you don't want to get to the end of the day and, you know, have lots of phone calls and it being like, you know, 60% working.
You've forgotten to clear it out and everything else. Well, that's what's good about Omnia, is it's just set and forget. It's like you don't have to refresh it or anything like that. It's the what we call the Deca energy within the patch is always on. It's never going to run out, turn off, etc. And by what you're saying, you know, it's, you know, biogeometry is showing that it's really clearing out that energy field, and bringing it to what we would call balance and centeredness, which is a vibration that your body's energy field reacts well to and resonates with. So yeah, that's great. It's great that you've been able to show that.
Yeah, and from just a purely, you know, practical point of view, being a sticker and being flat and under your case, it's very user friendly, which is important. A lot of other things are, you know, raised and, you know, they catch on things and that sort of stuff. So
that's right.
Just from a really mundane but practical point of view, it's good.
It's true. I mean, I've tried a few of the other stickers that are on the market, and obviously I try and test them, and some of them are really quite lumpy and hard to get a phone case on top of or something like that. So I couldn't quite believe it when I met Dr. Lakisevich, and he told me in a lecture, I've got the solutions to all the radiation problems in the world. And I went up to him afterwards and I said, this is really exciting. What have you got? And he pulled these stickers out of his pocket, and I just went,
it's like too simple.
You know, it's too simple. It's too simple, you know, because we're all programmed to think of things in certain ways, and lots of people, you know, get our stickers. Well, not lots of people, a few people get our stickers and say it's just a sticker, and we say, well, that's what we say on our website, on every page and in every photo. So yes, it is just a sticker, and that's exciting because it opens up a new understanding of energy. The idea that every atom is spinning with electrical current, right? Every atom, whether it's in a sticker or our bodies. But in our bodies, it's different because we have a mind to move all our atoms around, right? And that energy is constantly in flux, as you well know from all your biogeometry, because we're interacting with the energy in our bodies through our minds, right? And deciding whether to get stressed or be in love or what to have for lunch, how much to work out, all those sort of things. And we're interacting with all those atoms, and the atoms are like permanently moving and either coming back to balance and centeredness, or going off into, you know, the opposite of that, which is imbalance, uncenteredness, and stress. You know, so that's kind of our condition, isn't it? That's our continuous process. So
yeah, we're exchanging energy with the environment just constantly.
Feed that loop.
We are the environment, so it's just a constant exchange. So
yeah,
you know, I suppose, you know, if we're upset, then we give that out to the environment. If it's upset by, you know, big phone tower, that's, you know,
absolutely. And the other thing
you know,
is that
we get that as well.
Absolutely. And there are, shall we say, powers that be that are doing their utmost to make sure we don't realize that, because as soon as we really realize that, we realize that we can actually affect everything around us, including attitudes, behaviors, and we can reject certain things and say, I'm not having that anymore. You know, especially, shall we say, fear-based narratives, of which there are many right now. So anyway, that's we better not go down that rabbit hole. We were talking about the rabbit hole before we came.
we were.
Before we started.
There is a good article or case study that the founder of BioGeometry did in Switzerland, called The Miracle of Hamburg. I can send you the link if you like. But
please do, yeah.
Yeah, basically, this is probably in the 90s when I was sort of just getting started. A little town in Switzerland, a telco company came in and put a really big antenna in one of their churches. And churches are historically pretty much always built on very special spots where you know, grid lines cross,
energetic,
you know,
ley lines,
beneficial ley lines cross often. So putting like you know, a massive transmitter with detrimental energy, it's sort of just like broadcasts it,
amplified,
amplifies that even more. So
yeah,
they were getting headaches, and like even like the cows, they were getting like lots of infections when they were calving.
Yeah, cows are very sensitive. I've heard,
sensitive.
You know, the farmers put cell towers up and the cows go completely nuts.
Well, you know, farmers.
So did they use biogeometry to correct that situation in the Swiss
they
church?
did.
Yeah.
They did. There's one here. Well, this silly thing.
Right,
this is the Hamburger meter, and this is something that you point at the tower from a distance. So it's you don't have to like, you know, trespass or anything. You can. You do need a little bit of training to sort of set it up, but it's sort of set and forget as long as you're pointing it, and you can measure with the tools to find out the perfect orientation, so you know that it's working. But yeah, one of these per antenna, so you know, need a few if you're near. But instead of being a detrimental energy, you know, across, you know, tens of square kilometers, now you're getting a beneficial energy. So all those cows are getting detrimental, it's transmuting.
Well, that's
so like the Omnia, it's not just nullifying, now it's beneficial, which I think is just so cool. So
that's the power we have. And I often bring it down to something that's as simple as, and this again is too simple for most people, it's like we have the choice of whether we frown or smile, right? The two different energies are contraction or expansion, right? And it's very similar. If we can use our powers of, you know, become masters of energy, then we can transmute imbalanced energy fields into balanced energy fields. And that's what we do with Omnia. That's through you know, Dr. Lakisevich's invention. But I'm pretty sure that I'm interacting with that energy in the patch as well, and you are too, because we're all, you know, in that feedback loop. Anyway, I'm gonna leave it there because we've got less than a minute going on my Zoom, unless you want to say anything else. But I just want to say
that went so quick.
It did, right?
Time goes quick when you're having fun.
Indeed.
Thanks very much for having me on, Tim, and you're doing awesome work.
It's a pleasure and great to meet you.